Charlie Kirk suspect's grandma says family is all MAGA.
I can assure you that the 22-year-old man, Tyler Robinson, that murdered Charlie Kirk is not MAGA.
Trump called for a crackdown on the radical left, but right-wing extremists are responsible for more political violence.
All of the evidence that is being presented proves that he is a far leftist.
He creates a fictional problem while downplaying the real history of far-right violence against the American public, from the Oklahoma City bombing to January 6th.
I just want to give a warning there. We're not going to tolerate that anymore.
Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm diving straight into the explosive fallout after the tragic murder of Charlie Kirk. And trust me, the political spin is off the charts. So, here's what happened. The moment this tragedy hit the headlines, Democrats scrambled to grab a Yahoo News article. The big claim? The suspect's grandmother supposedly said their family was all MAGA. Classic move. Paint the right as the villain, no questions asked. But Republicans, they weren't having it. Marjorie Taylor Greene came out swinging, setting the record straight. She made it crystal clear. Tyler Robinson, the 22-year-old suspect, was not MAGA. In fact, Greene exposed his far-left ties, Antifa associations, and a trail of online activity that totally blows up the left's talking points. And Greene didn't stop there. She reminded everyone that these kind of false accusations against conservatives have real dangerous consequences. Remember the shooting of Steve Scalise, the attempt on President Trump's life, and now the murder of Charlie Kirk? Every time the left demonizes the right, it puts lives at risk. Then, Greene turned the spotlight on crime in D.C. She praised President Trump for sending in the National Guard, an action that cut carjackings by a whopping 87%, took down drug rings and put dangerous criminals behind bars. That's what real leadership looks like. But Greene wasn't letting D.C. officials off easy. She pressed them, point blank. Do you prioritize criminals or victims? Do you support the police? Some tried to dodge, others mumbled support. But their weakness was obvious. Meanwhile, Democrats tried to change the subject. They brought in articles from the LA Times, Time Magazine, Democracy Docket, all pushing the same tired narrative: downplay far-left violence, pretend right-wing America is the real threat. But here's the thing, Republicans weren't fooled. The evidence is right there. President Trump's leadership is cutting crime, while Democrats play political games and undermine law enforcement. And let's be honest, every time Democrats refuse to acknowledge far-left violence, they put American lives at risk. From Oklahoma City to January 6th, the left twists history. But the facts don't lie. Conservatives in this hearing made it clear, we stand with victims, we stand with law enforcement, and we stand for truth, not political theater. When it comes to protecting our communities, only strong leadership, like what we saw from President Trump, can get the job done. America is waking up, the lies are crumbling, and conservatives are standing strong. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next update, because this fight for truth and justice is only getting started.
Ms. Crockett, for unanimous consent.
Yes, Mr. Chair, since I wasn't allowed equal time to debate, I have a UC. It is from, it looks like Yahoo News. It says, Charlie Kirk suspect's grandma says family is all MAGA.
Without objection, so ordered. Chair recognizes Ms. Greene from Georgia.
Mr. Chair, remember I have a UC as well.
We'll recognize you next time. Chair, Ms. Greene, it's your 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can assure you that the 22-year-old man, Tyler Robinson, that murdered Charlie Kirk is not MAGA. His family may be Republican, but all of the evidence that is being presented proves that he is a far leftist, very much integrated in online groups that are linked to Antifa. He was in a relationship with a biological male, so-called furry, whatever that is transitioning to be a fake woman. He was not MAGA, not one bit. That is a complete lie, and it's an insult to every single Republican and person that identifies with those type of politics. We will not tolerate it. And that is the exact type of language that is getting many of us death threats day after day, and led to shootings on the baseball field where Steve Scalise was shot. This is what led to President Trump nearly being assassinated this past summer. This is what has led to Charlie Kirk being assassinated. And so I just want to give a warning there. We're not going to tolerate that anymore.
Mr.
You know, something else we're not going to tolerate is crime. On August 11th, President Trump announced major steps to address the out-of-control crime in the district. Thank God, because this is my 5th year in Congress, and living in D.C. and working here has been a nightmare. It is. The crime is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And let's talk about some of that. Since President Trump thankfully brought in the National Guard, carjackings have decreased by 87%. Nearly 1,200 people have been arrested, including known members of MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. Those are both foreign terrorist organizations. By the way, many of them came across the border while Democrats controlled this country in the past 4 years. Federal law enforcement seized nearly 120 firearms and busted a drug trafficking ring attempting to smuggle fentanyl, PCP, and cocaine into D.C. A joint effort by ICE and MPD arrested an illegal alien previously charged with sex crimes against a child. D.C. went 12 days without a single homicide. Can you imagine that that's something that the National Guard had to be here to do? It's unbelievable to anybody that is right-minded. U.S. Attorney Pirro reported that 88% of arrests made between the start of the federal deployment on August 11th and August 25th resulted in charges being filed. This is substantially higher than in 2024, where the Biden-appointed U.S. Attorney Matthew Graves charged suspects only 57% of the time. That's because he was busy chasing down MAGA grandmas that went into the Capitol. So I've got a simple question for you. Mayor Bowser, do you prioritize criminals or the victims?
I prioritize law-abiding D.C. residents, visitors, and workers.
So that would be law-abiding citizens and victims. Do you support the police, Mayor Bowser?
Yes.
Mr. Mendelson, do you prioritize criminals or victims of criminals?
I believe in swift and certain justice. And
No,
if
I asked you
somebody has committed
either
a
one.
crime-
Victims of criminals, of crime, or the criminals themselves. Which one do you prioritize?
As I understand the question, victims.
Victims. Do you support the police, Mr. Mendelson?
Absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Schwab, I'll ask you the same questions.
Unfortunately, hurt people. So sometimes victims are victims one day and
So
are
you
perpetrators
prioritize the
next day.
criminals, is that what you're saying, over victims of crime?
I prioritize making up my city as safe as it can possibly be.
I'll take that as criminals. Do you support police, Mr. Schwab?
Of course, we work very closely with MPD every day.
Mr. Jackson, the same questions for you.
Definitely prioritize victims, and I stand with the 24 states that are suing the Trump administration for withholding $1 billion in victim service funds.
Okay, so you're against cleaning up crime in D.C. Thank you for that. I've got an article here. The D.C. police union head is the biggest cheerleader of Trump's D.C. police takeover. So the police here in the district support the efforts and the help from the president. However, I've got a quote here from Mr. Mendelson. You call the union celebrating Trump's takeover just despicable. You literally attack the police in your statements. You're calling
That's not correct.
the union supporting the president and the National Guard here, helping them every day on the streets. You're quoted as saying that's just despicable.
You're taking that out of context. I criticized the president of the FOP because he is a liar.
Oh, so you are against the police. Thank
No,
you for clearing that up.
no.
Also, I have
President
one,
of the
I also
FOP.
have
I believe our
one
time
last
is
thing,
up.
Mr.
President
Chairman.
of the FOP, not the police.
I reclaim my time. Lastly here, Mr.
Gentlelady's
Mendelson.
time's expired. Gentlelady's time's expired. Chair recognizes Mr. Bell.
Mr. Chairman, I have a UC request.
Okay, state your.
I would like to
hold
enter
on.
for the
No, no.
record.
All right,
I'm
I'm
sorry,
sorry,
Mr.
I'm
Chair.
sorry, Ms. Green. I recognize Bell. That's on me. I apologize. We'll get you on the next one.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I request unanimous consent to enter into the record the September 9th, 2025 article from the LA Times titled Kennedy Commission Child Health Report Ignores Gun Violence, the Leading Cause of Child Death, which calls out the Trump administration for ignoring
Without
how gun
objection, so
violence
ordered.
kills more children in this country than any other cause, and the administration ought to be embarrassed by that.
Without objection, so ordered. And I,
I think Ms. Crockett is unanimous.
Ms. Crockett's next.
Do you have a UC?
I'll recognize Ms. Green, then Ms. Crockett. Ms. Green, do you have a unanimous consent request?
I do, thank you. For the record, Phil Mendelson's post here says repealing our laws is not liberation. Republicans in Congress can't be trusted. They took $1 billion from us, are moving more than a dozen bills, rolling back home rule, and are trying to take away our elected independent attorney general and micromanaging our legislative process. I hope everybody watched Democrats vote against the vote that adds $1 billion back in for D.C. Thank you.
Without objection to order, Chair recognizes Ms. Crockett.
Yes, I request
UC.
unanimous consent to enter into the record this September 16th, 2025 article from Time titled "Trump Called for a Crackdown on the Radical Left, but Right-Wing Extremists Are Responsible for More Political Violence," which calls out the game the president is playing, in which he creates a fictional problem while downplaying the real history of far-right violence against the American public, from the Oklahoma City bombing to January 6th. I got
Without
another
objection,
one.
so ordered.
All right, the next one is for, it's an article from September 12, 2025. Article is from Democracy Docket titled, "I Couldn't Care Less. Trump's downplaying of right-wing violence continues long pattern," which calls out the game the president is playing, in which he creates a fictional problem while downplaying the real history of far-right violence against the American public.
Without objection.